We will now go to the Planning and Zoning Board appointments. I'll begin with, well, Steve, if you'll come up, and then he did provide us with a letter of resignation as well.
Okay, at the last commission meeting, Madam Commissioner, you approved 3 new board members, and you have to make a selection of the board members that are up for their second terms in your district in order to equal out the members of the board throughout the districts. And so we have to, figure out who our remaining board member is going to be, and whether or not, you guys choose to retain Ms. Everett as your alternate.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. We do have a letter from Ms. Everett indicating her resignation from the board. It says, I have decided to tender my resignation from the Torrance County Planning and Zoning Board. I have appreciated serving and hope to serve again at some point in the future. I know she was here, but she must have stepped out, but we do want to thank her for her service to the board. And with that, the appointments that I would like to make, well, really they're not appointments. You said they would be just renewing what their current term was?
Yes, and it depends who you've chosen,
Okay.
what their term would be. Johnny Romero, he is up for his second 3-year term, and Jason Quintana and George, Miss
Hewett.
Ms. Hewett are both on 2-year term.
Okay, thank you. After I've talked with everybody, and of course I was not able to make everyone happy, so I'm just going to make my decisions, and I would like to have Mr. Romero continue on the board and also Ms. Hewett to continue on the board.
Okay, and for the new board members, that would be Mr. Frost, Mr.
Awesome.
Bill Larson, and Red Maxwell. What positions would you like them to fill? You'll have one 3-year term, 2-year term, and then a 1-year term for the alternate.
So let's just start, if we could start with Mr. Romero. Will be completing or starting his...
Mr. Romero is an incumbent, and he'll be on his second 3-year term.
Okay, Ms. Hewett?
She'll be on her second 2-year term.
Okay, Mr. Frost? And these are the ones that we need to decide, these last 3?
Yeah,
Okay.
those 3 you have to place.
So commissioners, it looks like in your district you have 3 choices as far as, is there one person that you would like to have considered as the alternate, or this is really up to you all?
Well, I thought we had 6 members.
6, including the alternate.
Oh, including the
5
alternate.
members.
Okay.
I know Mr. Frost does have a lot of experience already coming on, so I wouldn't recommend that he be the alternate because he certainly can already bring a lot of his knowledge to the board. Mr. Maxwell and Mr. Larson could serve as an alternate and learn, but again, it's at your pleasure. It's just my recommendation.
How does Bill feel? Redmond wants to be on it. How does Bill?
I think Bill would be okay being. Well, let me
me go back, because we had already put those 4 in as, if I'm remembering correctly, that was Lonnie's motion, was to put those 4 in. So now being that Melody has resigned as alternate, then would Edwina, would one of those spots be taken as alternate, or no?
No, Edwina and Johnny have
They're
already
already
been
there.
serving as full-fledged board members. And so they'd just be continuing with their second terms.
Gotcha.
So the 3 open slots is 1 3-year term, 1 2-year term, and the alternate.
Okay, so you have a 3-year term to award, a 2-year term, and then the alternate.
Yeah, and remember that that term schedule is just the corrective term to get us back on our timetable for the staggered member serving. So next year, when Michael Lowball's term, and of course the alternate, they just go year to year, those will go to 3-year term. And in 2 years, at the end of the current member's 2-year term, that will go to a 3-year term as well. And then you won't have more than 2 people falling off the board because of their term limitations in any given year.
For the record, Madam Chair, the motion that was made at the last meeting, according to the minutes, is that Commissioner Freiberger makes the motion to appoint Robert Red Maxwell, Jim Frost, and Bill Larson to the Planning and Zoning Board. Michael Lobo is not mentioned in this motion because he's already a current member. Madam Commissioner Tapia seconds. No further discussion. The commissioners vote. All in favor, none opposed, motion carried. And then it reads, the specific terms assigned to each new P&Z board member will be determined at the next commission meeting.
That was my understanding, was that those were already appointed to the board. So if Melody decided to resign, well, then that's not something that Edwina would pick up, or I mean, that would be something that one of the 2 people that you were picking were to be put into that position. But that was my understanding.
Well, then wouldn't then I would have only gotten 1 appointment then? Because doesn't everybody get 2 if there's 6?
Yeah, but
Oh, because Melody was already on there, okay. As the alternate,
Right.
okay.
So now Melody's resigned, so you're putting, I mean, one of those has to be, I mean, according, that's what I understood, was that those 4 were being put to the board, and what was still up for question was 1 position and Melody's spot.
Okay.
Johnny and I, if that's who Vanessa's asking for, sorry, we would be retained though.
Yeah, Johnny and Edwina, see, they were already full-fledged board members, and they had the option to serve another term.
if appointed,
Right, because.
Right.
so if we're saying that she's
But
appointed
that was
to
their
be an
option to put
alternate.
in unless you wanted to remove them from the board. But they're on their second, Edwina would be on her second 2-year term, and Johnny on his second 3-year term.
But technically, Commissioner Travis only had 1 appointment coming in tonight as it stood from the last meeting.
From the last meeting, but
Oh, you're right.
But Melody resigning has
Right,
changed
so
that.
would be your second position, would be the alternate.
Yes,
She's
well,
resigned, right?
yeah,
I guess
but
it's
if
just-
she's retaining Johnny and George, then she has her 2 from her district. And so one of the new board members would have to go into that alternate spot.
But as per the minutes, there was already 3 appointments made at the last meeting.
But their terms were not assigned.
Right.
And that's what you're doing tonight, is assigning the terms to the new board members. Because everybody else on the board our incumbent.
But there was only one appointment, there was to appoint, was one appointment.
Melody was supposed to
So
stay
that was the
as-
appointment because we asked if Melody would like to move into that appointment. So then when she appoints Johnny and Melody has resigned, the only thing that is open is the alternate position. Because the appointments have already been made.
You haven't assigned terms, though.
But the appointments to the board have been made.
You can come forward.
Well, why don't you just handle that one as far as how you were gonna initially come in and do it in the first place?
And then handle the alternate at a separate time?
Alternate. Well, I'm just thinking, if you kind of take the alternate out of it, because essentially that position was filled by someone in your district, and you handle your appointment to that position that you had, the other appointments are made, and then the alternate was from your district, so essentially you would be putting somebody else into that. You would be putting someone from your district to replace whom you had in there.
But the purpose of the alternate originally was so that you had people with experience on the seated board.
Okay, Mr. God, Cody, and then,
I'm a little confused. Maybe I'm stupid. How many people are on the board?
6.
And you have
Including
6,
the
does that include the alternate, or is the
Yeah.
alternate an adjunct?
No, included.
So before you had 4 people from District 3, and then, okay, got it. I got it. My,
No.
okay, you were confused too. You're not the only one that's confused, okay. I just think under the circumstances, being how you, to honor the agreements with the people who are on the board, I think it's appropriate to pick an alternate from one of the people who's coming on rather than one of the people who has already served. And that was kind of what I heard in the meeting, was that Vanessa, you were going to choose 2 people to renew their contract. And so I just, from what I heard in the meeting, the way it sounded, that was what was going to be decided, that George was going to have 2 years and Johnny was going to have 3 if you chose that. That's just what I heard. And it seems like if you do something else, all of y'all are kind of going against, I think, what at least I heard. Maybe that isn't what you heard, but that's kind of what I heard.
okay, well, I should have just picked at the last meeting, I think. Yes.
Yeah, because at the last meeting, you had one person from your district on the board. And so you had to choose between the 3 other people. But, with Melody gone now,
Because at that point,
that
Melody was
now
saying,
you have 2 choices.
And she was out of town too.
So if you choose to keep Johnny on and Edwina on, then, like you say, they're up for their second terms and they'll should stay in their time slots. And one of the 3 new people would have to serve as the alternate.
I see what you're saying, and I see how the minutes were read, and I see all sides of it. I think now we're at the point where we're just gonna have to decide so that the board can go forward.
Yeah.
So does that mean I just need to, and I was kind of liking your recommendation to go with pick the one person that I was supposed to pick and handle the alternate later, or?
Well, just kind of alternate in a different, because tonight, sort of the tables turned because she did resign. She wasn't here the last time, so if you're coming in, you were initially tonight, as you were coming in and the board stood the way it was, you were going to address that you had 1 slot open in your district to appoint to. And then, and go from there as far as, I don't know, I guess I'm just really not seeing it that way, but to me, it seems like you have one person in the alternate position. That person resigned, then it should be your choice who the alternate would be, because that person was in that position, essentially. So coming in technically tonight, you only had one decision to make, or one appointment to make, because you had two people in the district.
Okay, so as the board sits, we know that Johnny has experience, and then Mr. Lobau has been on, what, 2 years now? And he also has experience. Mr. Frost would have experience.
Can I speak up as well?
Sure.
My understanding from the last meeting. Oh, yeah, no, I will. I'm sorry, I didn't. No, that's fine. That's okay. Michelle Jones, my understanding from the last meeting and doing the minutes was that we, or I should say Commissioner Freiberger, as Joy stated, made the motion to appoint those 3 people. And at that time, it was determined that the specific terms of those people was not going to be decided at that meeting. And it was my understanding, being here at the meeting, that Madam Chair, when she made her decision, that her decisions, those people would continue with their terms. That was my understanding. I just wanted to throw that out there. And then the terms would be decided tonight. And if there's people that are being chosen that already have a term, it seems to me that the remaining people, the new people, would be taking the new terms. That was my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Ultimately, it's the commission's decision where you want to go.
So why don't we just do that right now, since this is essentially, this is our decision. So how would we like to proceed? What's your best recommendation, Mr. Freiberger, then Ms. Tapia, and then I will comment also, and then we'll make a decision.
I would recommend that Johnny, Jim Frost, Bill Larson, Red Maxwell, Michael Lumbau, and that George be the alternate.
Commissioner Tapia?
I understand the years put in, and like I said, my understanding is that you were picking one person because Melody was going to remain, and so that was my understanding, so I would be okay with that, because that's how I understood it to be. Was that you were only choosing one person to go into that slot because Melody was going to continue as the alternate.
Okay, and I'll just be honestly say that I thought I was getting to pick 2. I mean, like when I met with everyone, I thought I was selecting 2 people, so I came today not even out of it. Like when I called Steve, I still thought 2, and then when I called him this afternoon, I said, is it 2 or 1? And he said, well, you have 1. So.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware of Ms. Everett's decision to quit the board until just before this meeting.
As was I when she had me the letter, so. I mean, Edwina, sir, how many years have you served?
1 is alternate, 2 on the board. And my understanding, when I was asked to serve, I got a reappointment.
Well, I apologize to you, George, because I don't want to see you as an alternate, because you have a lot of experience and you've served as an alternate, you study your packets, you want to serve.
And the intent of the policy originally was that the newer persons that came on would alternate because of the experience level on the board as a whole. That was what was discussed when the policy changed, so that it would remain non-political, and so that you would have a mixed base of knowledge with what had happened during the time of the board.
And I agree, and still though, that continued discussion does have to happen at the mic though, just to be fair.
Oh, sorry.
So let's just do this, because we're gonna go round and round and it's already late. And I'll just put Bill Larson as the alternate and we'll just end the discussion.
So are you going to make, we still need to make your, how many years will Mr. Frost serve and how many years will Mr. Maxwell serve? The 3 or the 2 still need to be decided.
Jim would be 3. I move that Jim be 3 and Red serve 2.
Okay. Well, I thank you, Commissioner Tapia, for doing that. So, what is required, a motion with each name and the term?
I believe so.
Okay. So, who would like to make the motion? Do you want to amend your motion with the terms? Ms. Tapia?
I'll make a motion that Jim Frost serves 3 years. Michael remains, he's doing the 2 years, right?
Michael is a 1 year.
1 year. Red Maxwell serves 2 years. Bill Larson will serve as alternate. Johnny will be second,
3rd year.
3rd year, and Edwina 2 years, second 2 year.
Does that cover everyone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you again, Commissioner Tapia.